You know, Selma had a pet mimic named Mr. Wrinkleberry when she was 14. And so in this video, we'll discuss their origin stories and how she stumbled upon this cute little door licker. That's the most important question of all in my series, The Devil's Deal. Where the hell exactly is Mr. Wrinkleberry? Could he be her cloak, her spear? Hell, maybe even her sword? If so, why the hell is he not doing anything? Because now might be a time to help her because, you know, she ain't handling things very well. Because maybe if Mr. Wrinkleberry helped, you wouldn't need to make a deal with the devil. Because we know Mr. Wrinkleberry knows how to do some work. Well, the first thing to know is that Selma didn't have the best upbringing. In fact, she was forced to sleep in a trash can so she would be out of sight and out of mind of her mother's clients. And hell, the situation was so bad that her mother's clients, the town who was paying to bang her, literally had to pay her to take her daughter out on her daughter's birthday. In fact, their relationship would actively get worse to the point that Selma picked up landscape painting, which led her down the route of, well, the worst hobby ever: urban exploring. And at some point, Selma would even go out by herself to these decrepit old locations to get newer and newer pictures to draw. And the thing to keep in mind is this story takes place in Florishade, and Florishade is just a small little trading hub, so why does it have all of these different locations she can visit? And that has to go back to the First Divine War, and that's because the Divine War was a multi-fronted war from the east and the west of the mortal soul. Because originally, all of the Chaos Planes belonged to the territory of the spirits. And specifically, when we're talking spirits, we're talking about the gods of this world, targeting Aneru, the spirit of lightning and wood, and Confero, the spirit of death and wind. We could also say Ezeron, spirit of earth and snow, but that's more the northern parts here. And there were tons of facilities that ended up becoming small battlegrounds and strongholds in order to try to repel the druid and shaman overtaking. Because, well, when literally druids and dryads can pop out of trees, security and mobility become quite an issue. So they would cut down large swaths of forest and literally leave the land as barren as possible. And they would start constructing things as much out of concrete, stone, and other materials that druids couldn't use to teleport through as much as possible, which is where you would come up with a lot of dungeons. And it's when Selma actually went into an observation post that was used as a medical lab. This facility was massive by all stretches of the imagination. It was 5 sublevels deep that they used to use to experiment on druids and other fae in order to try to get an advantage in the war. And as Selma was exploring, she ended up stepping on, let's just say, a less firm piece of earth and ended up falling through multiple floors. And that's when she came across the door, which would later become Mr. Wrinkleberry after she threw her bag full of snacks at him. And even though she thought her life was over at that moment, Mr. Wrinkleberry showed a different side of himself than the monstrous killer that he is. He showed a friendly little companion. And so for many years, Mr. Wrinkleberry acted as her backpack, her cloak, whenever she would go to a high formal event, which was only once. He acted as her dress, so she had something nice for once to wear. Mr. Wrinkleberry was her best friend, and we know one thing: if he was around today, this situation would have turned out completely differently. But you can read all my series online for free, or go ahead and grab a physical copy of The Devil's Deal.